photograph and says on it, Dieu est mon droit, which means God at my right. That dates back to 600 years ago, and it also says, Honi soit qui mal y pense, which means shame be on him who thinks bad of this, and that goes back to 1348. Anyway, the royal family, the Queen, is the patron of the Albert Hall, and they always have been since this building was built, opened in 1871 by Queen Victoria. There she is. She reigned for 63.5 years. Side. Now, where's everyone gone? Oh, they've all gone in there, right? They're taking pictures.
Take pictures of us.
Or going back in this direction. Yes, going this way. The picture of George V, there he is, his wife Mary, who was born in Kensington Palace, to which we do a very good tour number 3. They had one daughter and 4 sons, and they're the sons, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is them celebrating his 25th year on the throne in St. Paul's Cathedral, which you'll see this afternoon, in 1935, and within a year he was dead. His son, Edward VIII, reigned from 1936 to 1936. 10 months. He abdicated and Bertie became the king. He reigned from 1936 to 1952 and died at age 56 of smoking of cancer of the lungs. And so did he. And so did he. So did his father, Edward VII. They all died of cancer of the lungs of smoking. That's the reason why this picture is here, because you have 4 monarchs, 1, 2, 3, and the Queen Elizabeth II, who's queen now. Just to remind you, the monarchy are the patrons of the Albert Hall. Do you want to filter through?
Yeah, squeeze through.
Yes, people are coming through. That is just about fine, jolly good. Hall stands on the site of a great house which was lived in by a member of Parliament called William Wilberforce, who spent all his life trying to influence government to abolish slavery. And the night that they did, the house was eventually sold and pulled down in 1848, and at that time there was a young man called Henry Cole, quite a small chap with tufts of hair coming out of his collar. He's one of the founders of the Bank of England, so obviously that says Houblon nominees, obviously the Bank of England owns that box. Right. Should I go and find these people to come downstairs? They also used to say, Soho! Soho! And Soho is the name of this area. And they go hunting for amusements of the evening. On the right, I'll tell you about him later on. There's Admiralty Arch on your right, without cloisters. Doesn't mean I'm a naughty boy, because I'm not. I just have a very dull life. You'll see it again. Now, on your left is Parliament. And this is a building finished in 1852 and was burnt to the ground before then, at which time it was a jumble of funny old buildings, but now it's the most spectacular, splendid, glorious thing, and it is not open to the public, so you can't get in. On the left is the church where Winston Churchill got married. The minister is not there today. It is the government of London, which is being reconstituted, having been abolished.
Every 24, 48 hours, the regiment.
行了，下播。
Yes. Just in 2 minutes.
Stories of Scotland Yard. It featured in every one of Sherlock Holmes' books because it was the image you would go visit with Inspector Smart. The film told Scotland Yard. No longer the headquarters of the police, they have now become private apartments or members of Parliament 34. This one was built up from the ruins of the old palace, completed in the year 1852, opened by Queen Victoria, so it's 146 years old. It was designed by Charles Barry. Landmarks of this hospital is the 19th century buildings standing alongside the 20th century plain block. The reason for that is these little buildings with the towers on the corner, there were 6 of these wounded prisoners were treated, so she set up a teaching hospital here. And it's still going strong today. She was known as the Lady of the Lamp, and she revolutionised nursing all around the world. There is a little museum inside that was dedicated to the memory of that famous nurse. God's known us, the House of Lords. This is where we had the honorary and hereditary peers. It's affectionately called Big Ben. All these years is in fact St Stephen's Tower, and it's the Westminster clock. Big Ben is the bell inside the tower which strikes the hour. It weighs 13.5 tons. It's cracked like many members of the House underneath it, but it does have a unique tone which strikes the hour. This is what they call the docking session today. This beautiful building was built around 1922. It was opened by King George V. Up until the year 1986, this was the headquarters of local government. In fact, London City Hall.
Duke of Wellington said it's much too smelly. In any way, that the 25-foot tide leaves behind all the dead dogs and the smells. So he abolished it as being a danger to health, especially in an age of cholera. And there's some talk about bringing back the boat in the next 2 or 3 years. Maybe that'll be nice. We'll have plastic cups floating on it instead of dead dogs. Enlarging its impressions, you know. Do you see a tree at the end on the right? And do you see a glass roof in the distance on the left? Between that glass roof and that glass tree on the right, the St. Paul's Cathedral. And when you look at your guidebook of St. Paul back in those days, and it was called St. Paul in the City of London. That's 5 bridges, and they still have £35 million left over annually to give away to charity. It was built in 1894. It's 104 years old. It's old. It was opened on June the 30th, in 1894. It's a drawbridge. Nowadays, the drawbridge is only used maybe 400 times a year, but until about 1970, this bridge was rising and falling up to 9,500 times a year. Thank goodness it doesn't do that anymore, because there's an awful lot of traffic to go over it. It's really worthwhile visiting. So go along there, pay your money, go up, across, down the other side, and it'll take you 90 minutes. They tell you a very good story. There are 5 things worth seeing in the city. Tower Bridge, Tower of London, St. Paul's Cathedral, the Guildhall, Museum of London, that ship there, that's a museum, HMS Belfast, I think the boatman mentioned it, didn't he? Launched in 930. These blackbirds, they get fed 3 times a day on mad cow. They are called ravens. They're very rare. There are only 8 of them in the tower. They have 1 wing clipped and they can't fly. Ravens were very common in the Middle Ages, and obviously beef eaters got to make friends with them and keep them coming, and so in the end the authorities allowed to keep them. Now they are paid members of Her Majesty's Army. Then you see a black door with a white hood over it, and above it a very small white window where Rudolf Hess was kept a prisoner for a few days in representatives they never get just there. Most of them during the reign of Henry VIII. Well, I told you about his marriages and so on in St. Paul's Cathedral. I'll just tell you that he couldn't get a divorce. When he couldn't get a divorce, he simply married again. He married Anne Boleyn, thereby had 2 wives, and 6 months later there was a baby, daughter, 6 months later. You know, babies take 9 months. But this was 6 months. Henry was crushingly disappointed. He must have a boy to fight battles, and here was a daughter. He disinherited her. Little did he know that she was going to be described as the most successful monarch in 16th century Europe. By the time she died, well, that was coming later, he disinherited her. Well, no more sons, no more sons, no more children. He accused his wife of being an adulterer. Well, I don't know. And she was executed here, and she said, well, if you're going to have my head chopped off, I'll have it chopped off by a French swordsman from Paris. So a French swordsman from Paris was brought over, and with one blow of the sword, her head came off. This was just to slow everything down, and maybe he'd change his mind, but he didn't. She was executed, and no one thought he would go that far. And they didn't bring a coffin for Anne Boleyn, so her friends had to go round to that building, which was timber in those days, and find a box of arrows, a very small thing like that, throw the arrows out, crush the body in, chuck it in the ground there. Henry heard a cannon fired on the walls. He knew that therefore she was dead. He galloped off into the horizon, and 10 days later he married his 3rd wife called Jane Seymour, and more than 9 months later they had a baby boy. Well done, you know this already. Well, they had this son. The mother died immediately. The baby was weak, very small ears, you know. Big ears means a lot of virtue. Anyway, he thought, my God, this baby is not kicking, and he thought he must marry again. So he married a woman called Anne of Cleves. He married her while she was in Germany. She married him while he was in England. So married over the telephone, you know. She arrived in England already married, and when he saw her for the first time, he thought, my God, what have I done? She's very beautiful. But actually, he'd sent an artist out to paint people he might marry, and one of them was Anne of Cleves, and the artist painting her painted a message into the picture to Henry VIII saying, for goodness sake, don't marry this girl, she's not for you. Now what was the message? Well, all the buttons are down the side. You see your buttons down the front? Well, in her they're all like that. And Henry thought, oh, what a lovely face, never mind the buttons, you know. When he saw her, he knew the artist was right. We had to marry her, and he did. 2 months later, he divorced her, and then she was lucky, she escaped, you know. He then married his 5th time, a lusty young lady called Catherine Howard. He liked her, she liked others. He found out, chopped their heads off. And he then married his 6th and last time, a lusty young, a lady called Catherine Parr, who'd married twice before, and buried 2 husbands, and married Henry VIII, and buried Henry VIII, and married again. Sounds easy, doesn't it?
the people here, about 50, and the Belgians, once upon a time, it was to do with the Spanish War of Succession was how it came about. But generally you tend to find people in Brussels are French speakers. In Brussels itself, in the city, and a surge in employment, obviously you can imagine all of the people involved in creating and administering all these new rules and regulations, apart from anything else. As we go through the different countries, and you'll see for yourself, just like border crossings, once upon a time we used to have to show all passports. Ultimately winds up in the North Sea. How heavily travel these all that will change tomorrow. Well, according to the sign, we have just 2 kilometers. When we stop here, when you walk in through the main door, you'll find on your left-hand side, once you go in through the door, on the left-hand side, you'll see the sign pointing to the Dutch word for toilets, restrooms. It's pretty simple. It's our word for toilet with a T-E-N on the end of it. Really in working condition. They don't even have to, on a day like today, unfurl the canvas on the arms of this windmill. This one heads down to our left-hand side, ultimately pours out into the North Sea. Those who believed him in Europe figured that, well, if he was right, if we did in fact live on this huge ball, then since there was you may think that it's a reasonably safe place to leave valuables because if no one's on it. Coming in from the southern side of the city here, approaching. But needless to say, the people in Amsterdam don't move very often. Flying the orange flags of the national football team coming up here on the left-hand side is a building occupied by the very first Heineken brewery in the world.
That's the way we like it. Yeah. Je bent er ook wel eens binnen geweest, ja?
Another tour around how the study next to visit to before our local guide takes us aside to the Navigo and for a drive along the Champs-Élysées to the Arc de Triomphe.
Well, you're perhaps necessary in the Netherlands. That means most of the time one thing. Nothing is for free in this country, neither are the drinks. Sorry, decision of the boss. To make it easy for you, one unique price, 2.5 gulden per drink to 50 per drink. Practical question in advance. Are there any people on the boat from the United States of America? Sorry for the Americans, we ain't got nothing diet.
Take a drink.
Building, that's the Amstel Hotel. Most luxurious, most prestigious, and of course at the same time most expensive hotel of the town. Price per room starts at 600 guilders a night, that's without a breakfast, and for 600 guilders a night, nice and calm somewhere in the attic. And prices are running up to about 8,000 guilders a night. One big system, and what we do basically with them is pump water from one area to the other, and in the end get rid of the water we don't need into the North Sea. About 1/3 of the Netherlands is flowing on below sea level, and what we do basically, keep it simple, is pumping up the country continuously, so to speak. Still using these locks for their purpose. Any early races, of course, as well, the famous Dutch windmills. The large white building, by the way, to our right-hand side, is the Royal Theatre Carré. It's the most famous speech. Of course, otherwise you can have the divorce. Those are quite facts now. Leaning or dancing houses, which you can see by the way. Nowadays, since 932 we complete. But the locks around Amsterdam are still in use nowadays to refresh them. More than 1,000 trains arriving and departing here daily. The eye is actually the division of Amsterdam in two halves. The north, a large residential area, with some 150,000 inhabitants. Connection between the two parts. Get the point, yeah, asking anywhere. So, here we are re-entering the old city more 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon celebration of his birthday, the 30th of April, large free market here in the city.
The boats, there's not much you haven't seen. To the left-hand side, the Mint Tower there, and behind it, the floating flat here. At this time of year, well, of course, we're just past the summer solstice time. It's the reverse, of course. It doesn't really get light until after 8, 8:30 in the morning, and it's dark again by about 4 in the afternoon. So most lanterns and light little fires by the canals, not too close to the canals of course, melt the ice. So people can make their way.
Everybody understands English in this group, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I should like to welcome everybody to the Arena Harbour. I hope you enjoyed the cheese demonstration. What you see now is the making of wooden shoes. In Holland we say klomp or klompen for a pair. And what you see now is how we make them using the old traditional method. This method dates back from around the turn of the 14th century. And the type of tree that I use today is poplar. Okay. The reason why I use this type of tree fresh and green is because it contains lots of oil, natural oil, and also moisture. This means that it's easier to work with. As you can see, it cuts quite easily. But it also means that once the shoe becomes dry, once it's made complete, it is water resistant. This is very important, especially in this country, in this area. We need a water resistant shoe. If anybody has a question, you're welcome to ask. Still worn today. It's still worn by the fishermen. It's still also worn by the farmers. And really by many people still in Holland. But the two most traditional styles are like this. The ones with the pointed toe are known as the fisherman's shoe, the schipperklomp. Okay, this is how we say it in Dutch. And it's a fisherman's shoe, okay, a fishing people's shoe. We actually use the toe of the shoe as our third hand in the early days. We would place our foot on the side of the boat, we would pull the fishing nets from the sea with our hands, and we would hook them onto the point of the shoe like this. This is why it's shaped like this. It's also handy for taking the fishing nets from the floor, and if you really want to, you can kick somebody out of bed in the morning, or if you have a big nose like me, you can even pick it. The rounded toe shoe is a little bit different. It's coloured yellow traditionally. This is only a symbol for this area, the area north of Amsterdam. And you can also see our company symbol, company design from here. The people that own this factory, the family originally, they still make shoes here in this area, and they've been making shoes on this factory for about 175 years. The three crosses on the front of the shoe, perhaps you've seen them before. You've been to Amsterdam?
Yeah.
Okay. When you visit Amsterdam, perhaps this evening, you shall see that there's three crosses. They stand for fire, water, and the plague. And supposedly they protect the people of Amsterdam.
That's when the cows are kept indoors. Then they give less milk and therefore less work to do to the farmer. So the farmer started to make wooden shoes, just to spend time. Well, he made these shoes from poplar and willow trees, and these trees were planted around the farm to protect the farm against wind and rain. But in summertime he would make cheese, and he made cheese from the milk of those cows. Where the stuffed cows, of course, that's a Holstein Friesian cow. The mother is from Friesland, that's in the north part of Holland, and the bull is in America. The type of cheese we're making here on this farm is this cheese, and it's called Gouda. And every morning we pour about 300 liters of fresh milk into this tank. Then we raise the temperature to 29 degrees. With another temperature we would get another type of cheese or no cheese at all. After that we add this brandy-like liquid to the tank, and it's called rennet. And rennet is some sort of enzyme which makes the milk thick and firm. And then in about half an hour we've got a very big cheese, like the size of the tank. It's very hard to sell that cheese, so we're going to cut it into little pieces and then we can take it out. Therefore, we attach two of those special knives into the tank, and they rotate through the milk in opposite directions for about 45 minutes. After that time, we've got two parts. The liquid part is called the whey. You can make medicines of it, or chocolate bars, cosmetica, but we don't make cheese of it. That's the solid part, and it's called curds. You can mix the curd with several herbs and spices to get different types of cheese. For example, stinging nettle cheese, pepper cheese, garlic onion cheese, caraway seed cheese, and we also have normal cheese, of course. Well, we put the curds first into a little net, and then into a plastic form which has several holes in it, so the last drops of whey can get out of the curds. Then we put a little top on it, and after that we go to press the cheese. Well, we press the cheeses over here. We put several cheeses next to each other, which you can see, with a wooden plate between it. And when this heavy weight comes down, the last drops of whey can get out of the curds. Well, this pressing process takes about 1 hour. Then after that hour, we put the cheeses into a Bryan bath. It contains about 20% of salt, and it gives the cheese its taste, and it also hardens the outside, so the cheeses are protected against materials. Well, the cheeses are in here for about 8 hours. Then we put the cheeses on those shelves so they can dry, and the next day we bring them over to the other side, where they get a plastic coating around them. We paint a yellow plastic coating around the cheese, and it's against mold to dry it out. It takes about 4 days, and after that 4 days, we bring the cheeses in the room behind you.
The Dutch themselves, because it's one of the more traditional villages. And that, of course, is a very important part. We'll be here until 1:30 before we head back into Amsterdam, and that'll put us back to the hotel. But it's not a big place, Volendam. There is really just one street, which we'll be seeing very shortly. I certainly can't from down here, maybe you can. And if you can't, you will be able to see very shortly, just when you see the water level. Without it, these people and these sheep on the right hand side. Magnificent building, and if you think it looks big from here, wait till we're standing underneath it. We will be here until 1 o'clock. The Rhine. At this point, flag flying from atop it. That castle is named Ehrenbrechtstein. That's all one word. I've been practicing it all morning. It's a castle which has gone through many hands over the century. To our left, as I say, about 10 o'clock, just ahead of us to the left, is a castle known as Drachenfels. That bit's true. The rest of the story dates to a German legend.
Vor uns auf der linken Seite ist Berlin und vor uns links auf der Höhe die Oberhaus von Berlin. Oberhaus wurde erbaut 1960 und ist
This castle is called the Mouse Castle and was built. Rheinfels, ladies and gentlemen, was built around the year 1245 by Count Dieter von Katzen-Ellenbogen and was one of the largest garrison fortresses here in the Rhineland, occupied by something like 2,000 troops. Directly underneath the castle itself are something like 4 kilometers of underground passages. The Rheinfels Castle today is a first-class hotel and restaurant, lying directly below. Directly in front of us, ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side, where we see the 2 flags flying.
Hello, what are you talking about?
pleasure of the afternoon. Heading off into the countryside now, for what are known as the Bavarian Alps. On a spire there, you're looking at a Baroque during the late 50s. Oh, too. Just a little dusting. But where we stop here for lunch, there are no self-serve restaurants. It's not a motorway service area.
Guck mal, Wechselgeld für die Toiletten beim Park. Ich habe auch gar kein Geld. Impressive, rather a steep-sided valley. I'll mention more about the Ammer in a few minutes' time.
Coming into coming on the Palm Sunday statue, the Palm statue you'll see in the main square, and the big playhouse behind it, the last.
The lady who abolished slavery in the Austrian Empire. Very popular with the people.
Some big rivers around here, aren't there? Fast running.
is hier een week. Het is hier graag op de verzamel en marketing februari begin.
As a Habsburg, at the head of the Holy Roman Empire, he was also in charge of the church round here, so he annulled his marriage and married for a second time. It was Maximilian who was responsible for putting the little golden roof. It's right there to the left.
Oh.
The river Inn snaking its way through here as it has done since the last ice age.
Looks like going. Isn't it amazing? I wonder how old it's 32.
Und ich dachte, es wäre ein nettes Geschenk, wenn ich so ein Boudoir-Foto von mir schießen lasse. Ist das nicht absolut irre?
Ja, das wäre die Überraschung. Ich dachte nur, die kosten ein Vermögen.
Geld habe ich genug. Ich habe das meiste von deinem Trinkgeld abgestaubt.
Woher bekommt ein privates Pinnenfoto?
Und jetzt will sie, dass ich ihm so ein Objekt abkaufe. Die hat Nerven. Ja, dann können Sie und der Dreieckstyp in teuren Restaurants essen gehen.
Weißt du, wie man das nennt? Das Clara Nightingale-Syndrom. Er wird krank und sie verknallt sich.
Du meinst Florence Nightingale.
Was, sagte ich Clara?
Du meintest wohl Clara Barton.
Clara Barton? Wer ist denn das?
Keine Ahnung, aber ich denke, sie war süß.
Mit dem Reifentanz, neue Lucia girls and boys with the wedding dance. Dance the reunion, the sacre. short intermission, please. And maintenant, Mr. Dan, 2 minutes of time. Ohne pequeña pausa.
Okay. Such personality.
Jetzt beginnen wir wieder zurück in unsere Ingrid spielt auf dem Raffaele Porceri Bozna Afringer Kalmok. Now Ingrid is going to play a portion on another typical Tyrolean string instrument, which is called Raffaele. Sitte à trois cordes Raffaele. Now you will see the Chelsea dance, and after that you will hear a part of the Wilton sound. Dans c'est jaloux et après nous aurons sur le fond. hoffen, dass es Ihnen gefallen hat. Bevor wir uns endgültig von Ihnen verabschieden, spielen wir noch als Zugabe Lieder verschiedener Nationen und bitten Sie, jene Lieder, welche Sie kennen, kräftig mitzusingen. Dankeschön. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our reunion evening. We thank you very much for coming and we hope you have enjoyed our program. Now we are going to sing songs of different nations and we would like that you join us in singing them. Thank you.
Mesdames et messieurs, nous serons terminés notre programme tyrolien et nous espérons que vous vous êtes bien amusés. Nous vous prions de
They say when you stand at the top of Driefeldt on the left-hand side, they have a school attached to it. Looks like school is just very hard to believe, but in the wintertime there's snow around here and you can't cross the mountain passes. In fact, the pass left-hand side, you might be able to make out the Olympic rings on the back of the ski jump there. We are now on that bridge, 190 meters above from where you're sitting. There it is. Well. Okay, here we go. So be it a policeman in or in the intersection of the fellow at the you'll have to very quickly get your camera ready, alright?
cat. Giuseppe and Luigi actually want to sell their lira. They want to buy dollars, American dollars. They're going to the best place to buy a stamp in Italy. A lot easier is a tobacconist. And you find a tobacconist in it, which was about the same size as the Austrian 5 shilling coin. Remember that one? An Australian or New Zealand 10-cent coin, or an American quarter. The Austrians built this causeway from the mainland across to the old part of Venice. The Austrians had Venice until the unification of Italy took place in the year 1861. Well, actually, Venice didn't become a part until a few years later. Italy, every town has a monument to him. Unification of Italy took place in the middle of last century. Garibaldi, Cavour, Mazzini and so on all came to, they brought the old states and kingdoms and what have you of this peninsula together. They had something in common ever since the time of Napoleon. They disliked the French, you see. Really that's what brought them together last century. So really it's a very young country, only a little over a century old. Is het gelukt? Right, firstly, what do you think? Great. Nothing else. If you would like to buy the most expensive cup of cappuccino you've ever had, sit down at any one of these cafes here and enjoy it. It costs you about 18,000 lira. Okay? It's a lovely atmosphere though, isn't it?
Sure, it's not kitchen.
This is the square simply known as San Marco, St. Mark's in English. Named after the building fronting the square, basically the oldest building in town. I'm sorry, Steve. The oldest building in town, St. Mark's Basilica. There's been here since the end of the 11th century. Even if you're not coming on the tour this afternoon with us.
This place, you see just a little demonstration how to get the glass, because our main factory is located in the Alamo Murano, main place, the main production. That's the reason why we call Murano glass. The master, Mr. Massimo, is going to show you one of the oldest techniques to get the glass, the technique of blowing glass. Blows inside of the iron pipe, cocktail in the valve, rubber valve.
Grazie, sempre un meeting. Mango per
These people that are building for my husband, don't I? This is how you do it if you come over here. Would you like to come and live here?
Spanish buffalo chicken.
You don't mind if I stand up here? Maybe? Those of at the church. Look at the shape of them. Onion shape. They remind you of the Russian churches, for example. The Greek Orthodox. This Palazzo Ducale.
Probably go home. Having dinner. Don't forget that.
How many are we up to?
Plenty of room.
Now we have to take the picture.
Oops.
Terrible. What to do that? Oh, look how nice this looks. Well, we were in Portugal and we got, this is about a few weeks back, and we're walking around some back alley roads in Portugal trying to find a place to eat. Other good tour guides out there at least, you know. George, I'll take a photo. Because the street. There was one of those.
And this is another.
Now we're on our way to our room in the Hotel Intercontinental.
Alright.
Just follow me. As you can see, I'm wearing my new fashion.
Wampens?
Wampens. Come on, take it off. Hurry up. Don't go down that way. Come on. Come on, Mr. Wheezy, hurry up. now we've reached the top of the stairwell, we're finished. Well, I've got news for you. Just turn this way, and this way, and that way.
Watch the steps.
And leave. Right to the left. We're almost there. We've made it.
Recorded history that's very much flooded. Imagine water coming up here. Really naughty in Rome. Doing everything up on the right-hand side. Just need to swear that.
You know, it was very important for the Romans to make the portraits. We have a lot of statues portraying the people of the time. Most of them are just left and right. But before, you see the ceiling was painted the end of the 18th century, and it's a trompe-l'œil. You know, trompe-l'œil from the French language means optical illusion. There is no relief at all. It's not carved, just painted. And you see, for example, if you have a look up here, you see painting shadows behind the figures. You have the illusion of the relief, but it's completely flat, painted. And it's really amazing. Painted, so no carved, just painted flat. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the gallery of
Perché questo è il centro. Dall'altra parte è uguale. Si vede quell'altro.
The one I was talking about was originally of the Emperor Hadrian, which was constructed. It was turned into a fortress, Lager's Bridge, still in use today. And you'll be able to find us. The apartment or the condominium. Yes. The two statues up there at the top of the stairs are Castor and Pollux, twin sons of Zeus, the Roman head of the gods. And the town hall monument to the unification of Italy with Victor Emmanuel II. Horseback behind all the scaffolding, you can see more clearly now. Two soldiers, I assure you they're not the same ones that were on duty last night. Changed every hour. I already mentioned the building on the left-hand side. There's no area of traffic. And when I say the first of the forum, I mean the first that we see. It was actually the last forum to be built. It was the Imperial Forum on the left-hand side.
So that one.
Because the forum existed long before there was an end plan. We call that the right-hand side. And also on the left-hand side is where we find the forum today, which suggests that it's also underneath where we're travelling at the moment. The plans of the road has one civilization finished. People just built over the top of it. The original level of Rome is a long way below where we are now. People had no concept then of preservation. Growing, the white bits extending across the Mediterranean in the second map, then down into North Africa, Carthage, down to Egypt.
Valley of the Colosseum. Incidentally, Colosseum, the origin of the word, it has absolutely nothing to do with this building here. Colo, from the original Latin word, which means huge, comes from a statue of Nero, which used to stand on the site of the Ark of Constantine. Now, Nero ruled during the 1st century after the birth of Christ, and it was during Nero's time there on the hill known as the Palatine Hill. Palatine comes from the same Latin word that we get our word palate.
Credo che in Giulia le piace. No,
Good, they haven't closed this off anyway.
Eres tremenda, porque ahí hasta una foto ahí después te lo veías si quieres. Para acá y para allá.
Just on the outside.
So, behind me is the Cathedral of Florence. You know, the cathedral is the most important church, it's the seat of the bishop in a city. And the cathedral was begun 700 years ago, when Florence was a very rich city. But it took them, because it was built by the people of Florence, it took them more than 170 years to finish it. First, it took them 100 years to build it and to cover it with marble, white, green, and pink marble. Hello, we are here.
you don't want them to show you. Right. Yeah, and that's yeah, you have to be on the side.
Okay. Put your hand up. Okay, put your hand higher. Okay, one.
No, another thing.
Oh,
Is it all right?
right there, perfect. 1, 2,
It's not very tricky.
Oddio! Oddio! Oddio!
At the beginning of Ford. This is a hotel coming up on the left-hand side. No, I was just joking. We're getting ready to behold the Principality. Monaco down there to the left-hand side. With the highest population density in the world. population density of 40,000 people per square kilometre. To put that into perspective, the population density of Australia is 2 people per square kilometre. So that's why it has such a population density, such a high population density, just nudging 28,000. Monaco is an interesting country. The natives here are called Monegasques. As a citizen, you pay no US citizens have settled here because it's not much financial advantage, but there was one US citizen who settled here. In 1956, the actress Grace Kelly, in September of 1982, when on one of the high roads above Monaco, a car accident claimed her life. Caroline sadly lost her husband in an offshore boating accident, just off here actually. And that rocky outcrop there to the right hand side. I don't see it. For a while, then France, and then high up in the sky. I shudder to think what one of those would cost. Section known as Monte Carlo. We're actually driving through 3 of those 4 sections, but we'll be stopping in Monte Carlo. Probably see the grid positions now down to the left-hand side. Coming up to number 1 position very shortly, which is where Mika Hakkinen sat just a couple of months ago. And here's the start-finish line now. From here is where we are going to be stopping. You may leave hand luggage on board in at 5:45, quarter to 6.
You can't say that we can do. Can you? Look at how much money you've been spending. There's one doing something, and everyone else is cheaper.
That's right. And when yeah, they'd be perfect.
Eze. It's EZ or EZE. And as I said, that's a reasonably small one in fair condition. The one we're going to tomorrow, Saint-Paul-de-Vence, is in remarkable condition.
What do you think? I've never seen one on fire. I didn't
Le colonel Morel, accompagné du préfet et des autorités, vont maintenant féliciter le commandant des troupes, puis les décorer et enfin les porte-drapeaux. Vous invitons pour l'instant à ne point bouger et rester sur place.
As an experiment, and a very, very profitable experiment. There's that complex there started word at Cannes, which is where we're headed. Supermarket breads around, but most of the French wouldn't ever think of buying bread. There you go, man. As you can see the bell tower next to the church. Lovely back streets, it's delightful. Now you won't get lost. You won't. Three.
We get lost together, don't worry.
Aí sobre o dente pega, mas eu não vi. Sim, como fala? Mom? I see.
Some more Italian flavour to the architecture. Beautiful view down there of the Italian Riviera. And all the greenhouses for the perfume industry. The Italian Riviera, much less developed, of course, than the French. But nonetheless, beautiful. Very popular a little further down. There is an area known as the Cinque Terre, or the five lands, if you like. There are 5 towns further down the coast there. Needless to say, they're very popular with Italian honeymooners. We leave it behind us as we pass through this tunnel. We climb very quickly to an altitude of about 1,000 meters above sea level. Leader of the main opposition party at the moment. To basically it's forgotten about. And the latest conviction was for 2 years and 9 months. So we are crossing at this point the line which rings the Earth, imaginary line, which means that we are exactly halfway between the equator and the North Pole. Since the home of the Italian Stock Exchange, major international airport, and really the financial and business pulse of the country. It's a bit of a concern for the country where so many people profess Roman Catholicism as their religion. The foreground and then treat. The man with the funny hat waved us through. I said, what nice people we had on board. Oh, in that case, he said. But he did mention, actually, when we stopped, that there's a chocolate strike. In Switzerland. There's nothing left. Nothing in the country. Have a look at the people as well. Look at the colour of their skin, the colour of their hair. How much they look like northern Italians anyway. Somewhat olive skin, darker hair. And this is a very, very unusual piece of Switzerland, not only because of its language, but because of its climate. The lake down to our left-hand side, which is the lake of Lugano, is a lake which enjoys rather mild winters for Switzerland and actually quite hot summers. Just from here we will be crossing the lake. For those of you on the right hand side, you'll be looking up towards the town of Lugano, which gives the lake its name. Lugano, the town, is at the northern edge of the lake, straight up there to our right hand side now. Switzerland is 18%. And that's if you're earning more than about 250,000 francs. He's got a good range of souvenirs, from cowbells to cuckoo clocks and so on. It doesn't really matter, there's very little difference in price, there's no real discounting. In Switzerland, there's obviously is Bucherer, as do a couple of other big watchmakers. A lot of things have to happen for an avalanche to take place. But it happens from time to time. Be more careful where they build. Days gone by. Would always have been part of the photo. By the time they met in the middle, they were only about 20 centimeters out in their calculation. About, not even a foot, maybe 8 or 9 inches. 14 lives were lost. And the total cost of the project was 700 million Swiss francs, even in 1980. But what they had created at the end of that was a route underneath the mountain which is straight ahead of us. You can probably see the road that runs up the side of the mountain, but we're going to be burrowing through it. What they created after those 12 years of work was the world's longest road tunnel, and it is still the world's longest road tunnel today. This tunnel is a stunning engineering achievement. Over 10 miles straight underneath that mountain. So you can say goodbye to daylight for about a quarter of an hour. No more palm part of the country. The climate here is one of them being the dialect of Lucerne. Go up one side on cable cars. There, we say Krianza. Tell a fellow at the ticket office. We come down the other side of the mountain on the train. And on the other side, they speak a different dialect. Just on the other side of that one mountain there, they say, Gute Dog. Sounds like good dog, doesn't it? Gute Dog, which is like the Swiss German equivalent of Guten Tag. Some other ones. Good afternoon in Lucerne. Don't laugh at them when they talk to you. Goodbye. Goodbye, farewell instead of Auf Wiedersehen. Remember that one in Germany, Wiedersehen. Here they say Wiedersehen. Everything's and here's one that will get you. To say thank you in Lucerne. You remember the German for thank you is Danke or Dankeschön. In Lucerne, however, they use the French word for thank you, merci, but pronounce it with a kind of Swiss-German accent. Merci. Merci, like that. Say thank you by saying merci, but you're welcome is the German word bitte. So you figure it out. I don't know. They say to discover the linguistic background of a Swiss, you step on his toe and listen for which language he curses you in. I probably wouldn't recommend it. One man refused to pay those taxes. The Bürgermeister struck his son. The second arrow when he struck the Bürgermeister. The man, of course, going by coach is by driving up the hill. The other way is to catch a little funicular railway. To the left there, the old Chapel Bridge. The old wooden bridge. And you look across the lake to the right-hand side, can you see the Montana? Can you see the name Montana up the hill? That's our hotel. So you can just wander down here to the old town. This is the old town on our left-hand side. The main square is on our left, coming up here. If you look at, you may be able to look at all the flags there and see the name Bucherer. See Bucherer there with a Rolex sign at the top. It's where you get your spoon tomorrow. Gubelin on the left-hand side is the other main watch distributor in town. They handle the other big brands. The Schweizerhof Hotel on the left-hand side. Most expensive cup of coffee in town, avoid it like the plague. American Express, another alternative for changing money on the left-hand side, and the cathedral is straight ahead of us. The significance of the lion here. The lion is of course the international symbol of courage. And in this case it refers to the courage of the corps of Swiss guards who were responsible for looking after a French king. The French king Louis XVI, the Bourbon king, and his queen Marie Antoinette. The time was the very beginning of the French Revolution. You know, the Swiss have guarded a lot of important people in Europe over the ages. You've already seen the Swiss guards looking after the Pope in Rome. The Sforza family of Milan were always cared for by the Swiss. But the Swiss had the job here in the 1780s and the 1790s of looking after King Louis XVI. The place was the Royal Palace, the Palace of the Louvre in Paris, which of course you'll see when we're there. The Gardens of the Tuileries were where the guards were defending the king against his own people, against the revolutionaries. In the year 1792, on 3 dates which are listed up there, the 2nd and 3rd, the 10th of August, the 2nd and 3rd of September of 1792, the revolutionaries stormed the palace of the Louvre. And on each occasion, the Swiss held them back. On the very last occasion, it looked like the revolutionaries were going to take the king. And so the Swiss guards raised their arms against the local people, against the French. At this point, King Louis XVI said, no, lay down your arms. I cannot have you fire a shot at my own people. They did so, and 700 of them were slaughtered by the revolutionaries, including 28 officers whose names are down at the bottom there. All those names. Not necessarily local people, but of course all Swiss. It was a massacre, and you can see the lion himself. He's been pierced with a lance or a bayonet up there, and you can see what he's holding. Can you see a shield there with the fleur de lis, the lily flower, originally the symbol of Florence, but came to be the symbol of the Bourbon family. So it's the French shield which he's holding. And then next to his other paw, next to his right paw, is the shield of the Swiss. The white cross on the red background, the symbol of the Swiss, which is still, of course, in the Swiss flag today. The work itself was done straight into the sandstone rock by a local fellow by the name of Ahorn. His name is right down the bottom right-hand side there. He's a fellow from a little village just outside of Lucerne. It was all done in the middle of last century, in 1843. The design was done by Thorvaldsen, a Dane, but the work was done by a local. And it was done straight into the sandstone. Sandstone, of course, is a sedimentary rock, which tells us that once upon a time the lake level was much higher than it is now. And a century later, this garden was laid out in 1943. If you'd like to take a picture, go right ahead. See you back on board. And across the other side. Thank you. Somebody might be listening.
This is their caution, moving parts.
This is Roberts. We'll get up the open carriage door.
Do you want me to take
Put it on the moving thing.
the moving thing?
The moving. That's the mini ride. That's the mini ride, just the station ride.
That's the reject.
Voorzicht bij een klesdeel.
Yeah, well.
Here we go. Running jump over the edge.
Shall I say Grüezi?
No, it's not how you say it.
Yes, it is. Grüezi.
I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Just think if I need it.
It comes back. See, there it is. Over to the light.
I think you can have mutiny if you do that.
Come down and find you later.
It wasn't as comfortable as some we've had. He didn't
Without
think.
flesh?
So he tossed it.
That's a blind man to dig a ditch.
The one in the Blue Mountains stopped.
That's amazing.
We're going right into the mountain.
Yes, I'm going to get out and climb.
I'm stuck now.
Is it going to bring in the ground?
There's a George! Oh my God! Speeds up just a little bit. Daniel.
Sun reflecting off the second light.
Duck moose.
Cows up here.
Oh God. Give it to me, I'm close to this fridge. There's a puppy now.
Home sweet home.
The guile. Just a little bit.
Keep your ruddy hands to your throat. That's what leaves the table.
It's about 5 degrees.
Do you want to take the panoramic?
Yeah.
I'd enjoy the way down. Yeah.
I did a bit in thermals up here for hang gliding, didn't he?
Yeah.
Cool.
I want to go and look nice.
Yeah.
So do I. We're going to go right top.
I thought this was the end of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. You see a gate. to almost 1,000.
No, you'd be able to tell me because you're able to ask with you.
Yeah, you went fine.
When you get into but knowing us, by the end of the year they'll be in the house. What? I wonder why. Oh, he's a leader.
How's that thing?
This one here. This one here.
That's probably why we can smell it.
Right. Then on the left side, the highest point you see there looks like a tower. That's the highest and fastest elevator. This elevator is 600 feet high. Goes up in 45 seconds. Outside from the rock, a very nice view from. So you see in a few moments on the corner ahead of us a nice statue of Christ. You know, this baroness here was very poor because she was a long time sick, more or less the whole life. And then she couldn't pay the taxes anymore for her castle. It was all damaged, you know. And then she made an agreement with the city of Lucerne that they can have her castle here when she died. And she never had to pay any taxes anymore. But that's what happened. The Baroness died. The castle belongs to the city now. It's empty. They had to make a big renovation for some $1 million. And you can rent now this castle for a private or for a wedding party. You can just jump in the water there. Again, to your left-hand side, you see here our motorboat harbor. The little brown building is our...
When you look at the first
Yes, blue shirt, Yusef. This we sing together, all together the words, and afterwards everyone sings the yodel along together with me. Okay? Tell me where you're from, please. Australia. Australia. You do no words, just yodel. Please, and you're from? Kansas City. Kansas City! Very good. And you, sir? And you're from? North Carolina! Think I'll be fine than to be in Carolina in the morning. Kansas City,
Good, they'll do up here.
Standing in front of people. I nearly stopped to see if they were Gelato. I know.
He landed in Gulf Juan and began his march up towards Paris. Well, it was here where he actually reviewed his troops before heading on to Paris. That was that time. But about 10 years earlier, he was here. He was actually living at Fontainebleau. And it was at that time, in the year 1804, when he had summoned the Pope, Pope Pius VII, up from Rome. I was talking about that when we were going past Milan, and I was talking about the Iron Crown, the crown that ended up on the heads of everybody who was anybody.
So some lights going on.
Keep going, keep going.
Lights.
Picture, picture. Get ready.
Lights.
Camera. Action!
Take some of the shots, shall we say, when we get there, okay?
Do you want the camera on, Steve?
The Opera House is now where all the ballet is before. The new Opera House is the Opera Bastille, which was created for the bicentenary of the French Revolution.
Bonsoir!
Maybe, George.
He's been practicing.
And you know who lives in the opera?
The Phantom.
The Phantom.
Yeah. The Phantom lives in the opera.
Oh, the Phantom.
Bonjour, Phantom.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Phantom.
All right, Phantom, light your lights.
Goes too well.
No, don't Phantom.
Turn him on, Phantom.
Oh, my nose is going to show up. You're not supposed to say that, but
Your bed is gone.
forget it. You fool it. Just be quiet. Just be quiet when you're ahead. Where's that pork I say? Is that plugging you up? I hope. Okay.
This is the street of the jewelers of Paris. Rue de la Paix.
Rue de la what?
Like the Café de la Paix. Paix is the French word, one French word for
Party.
successful business. It has been too. Beautiful street leading down to the square known as Vendôme. Vendôme, one of the most exclusive residences since the beginning of Paris. So many famous people have mesmerism, hypnotism. And on the right-hand side, the hotel that belongs to Mohammed Al Fayed.
Oh, no.
The Ritz Hotel.
Elvis. Is that Elvis?
Elvis.
Where a rather
Are you
famous
there?
car journey began.
Oh, is this the
From the back door of the Ritz,
This is where the infamous car journey.
there's the Mercedes-Benz. Not too fast. The Europeans have had a couple of centuries to get used to it. The street in front of us, the very first address on the right-hand side where you see Goodnight for Chocolates, was in the middle of last century an embassy. And it's an embassy to a country which was only independent for just a few years when it passed from Mexico to the United States. The Texan embassy to France. It's on the corner of the right-hand side. In the world, a perspective that led from the king's bedroom all the way up through the gardens of the Tuileries, halfway across Paris. The Palace of the Louvre stretches down to our left-hand side, all the way up to the right-hand side. And if you breathe in, we might just make it into the courtyard.
Bravo. Bravo.
Oui, Laurent. Laurent. Go, Laurent. Go, Laurent. Go, Laurent.
Yay, Laurie.
Oui, Laurent.
Beauty Nuke.
Hola.
Was what was before the time of Versailles, the grandest royal
Behind
palace
those
in the
trees
world.
disappeared.
As we come in here, you'll see down to the left-hand side, behind the glass pyramid, the center of the huge V, which is the Louvre. This is one huge V-shaped building. Every room is connected. And in the center of that V, straight down to the left-hand side, was where the king's apartment was to be found. So as he would throw open the huge glass doors, stand up there in his boxer shorts, looking out to the right-hand side, silk boxer shorts,
Good.
looking out here,
Powers on it, right?
up at the gardens of the Tuileries to the right-hand side. He would look through the Arc de Triomphe du Carrousel on our right-hand side. Through the Arc de Triomphe du Carrousel, he looks up through the gardens of the Tuileries
Oh my God.
toward the Place de la Concorde, beyond the Place de la Concorde, straight up the Champs-Élysées to the Arc de Triomphe itself.
Aren't you, man? We see. Little one, yeah. Oh, ça c'est bon.
Carrousel on our right-hand side, you'll see the view that the king got. The most famous perspective in Paris. 4 kilometers long, about 2.5 miles, one straight line.
And the Eiffel Tower. Oh,
In the
yes.
center of the Place de la Concorde and the huge Arc de Triomphe at the far end of the Champs-Élysées.
Here's your tripod.
One long straight line. That's the view the king got from his bedroom. Paris is a city which is famous for its perspectives. The perspectives that were created with the redevelopment of the city that took place in the middle of last century, certainly. But also down to the left-hand side, the opposite bank, you'll see a building with a black dome. Just on the left-hand side. The famous building known as the Institut, the Institute building, the home of the French Academy. The French Academy, founded by Cardinal Richelieu during the 17th century, is the body which writes the French dictionary and pretty foreign words, like German words, for instance, Hamburger, English words like sandwich. The silly thing is, you know what they want to replace it with? Footy. I kid you not. Pascal, no, it's absolutely serious. With a green awning coming up here on the left-hand side, you see the name Voltaire. The cafe known as Voltaire was Voltaire's living quarters and the place where he died on the 30th of May, 1778.
You see that, Andrew?
10 years before the first settlement in Sydney Cove. Voltaire perished. Here on the left bank, the home of Jean Masse. He bathed in the illuminations of the evening. The National Assembly, the lower house of the French Parliament, along with the Senate. This is where decisions are still made today, 200 years after the French Revolution began. And not long after that, Robespierre was marched across this bridge we're about to cross. He was invited to descend to his knees, place his head on a block.
Mama?
He lost that head, along with over 1,000 others. And you know, it was only a few years ago, only about 10 years ago, that the guillotine stopped being used. There's an element in Paris, the square known simply as Concorde. Concorde means peace. The name was deliberately chosen at the end of the French Revolution in a hope that it would never see the horror of the revolution again. Looking up to the Arch on our left-hand side, down to the right, the gardens of the Tuileries, given the Champs-Élysées. Up to the right-hand side, just beyond Maxime's restaurant, another Greek restaurant.
Where's Maxime's?
Greek restaurant, another Greek.
Look, your honey, straight ahead, like the 3-0. Oh, there's it.
If we had come here a week ago, we would have been in all kinds of trouble through Bastille Day. Here you see all the stands on our right-hand side and on our left-hand side for the parades. You saw parades in Nice. Here they had exactly the same thing in Paris. Of the French president, the man the Australians and New Zealanders love to hate, Jacques Chirac. Please don't firebomb the Elysee Palace. Oh, they're painting lines. Oh, wow, there you go, you see.
We didn't realise how important it was.
Too fast.
Pedestrian crossing. Yeah, very nice lines though. On the Champs-Élysées, to use white neon rather than any other colour. Most people who don't abide by that don't do particularly well, because the French tend to boycott them. One particular organisation, who shall remain nameless, refused to colour their golden arches white. Oh, I gave it away. About 4 doors down from the famous Lido nightclub, which is just coming up shortly on the right-hand side. And the Parisian, it was the finance minister of Louis XIV, the Sun King. One-time friend of Madame de Pompadour, they say. Great location, the leader taking over McDonald's spot was Hamburger Creek on our right-hand side. They don't mind eating the white ale, they do very well. And you know, when McDonald's realised how well they were doing, guess who came back on the right-hand side, just ahead of us. To the best of my knowledge, the only white archers in the world.
Instead of the golden arch.
See the white arches right over there between the trees?
The national anthem of France. You can see Liberty. There's a sculpture there next to the huge flag. Nice and quiet this evening. The intersection known as Place de l'Étoile, you'll be coming back here tomorrow. In this direction you'll see somewhat more of a crowd. But look down to the right-hand side. That long avenue heading down there to the right, and another one coming up here on our right-hand side. Long, straight streets. There are 12 of them heading off here, all dead straight, all going off just about as far as the eye can see. The one to the right-hand side, the Avenue of the Grand Army. A continuation of the perspective which started at the King's Bedroom down to the left, all the way down there, ultimately a total length of 7 kilometers, about 4 miles, one straight line in the center of town. This square is known as Star Square, Place d'Étoile. Because if you were to stand atop the Arc de Triomphe, you would look down and you would see all these streets heading off like beams of starlight. They added all of the illuminations for the bicentenary of the French Revolution in 1989. It looks absolutely magnificent, and if you've never seen the Eiffel Tower before,
It's going to get closer, George. Don't
I
make
am
it.
thrilled that you are seeing it for the first time at night. If you look to the left-hand side, can you imagine the Paris skyline without that structure?
See it?
Laurent is going to attempt to stop. Goodness me, I guess someone else must have handled the place. We are going to stop so that you can get out and take a little closer look here. You will see a number on top of the second level of the Eiffel Tower where we're going tomorrow. The letter J for jour, which means days, and the number 533, which is the number of days remaining.
So right after this bus.
Number of days remaining.
Was started to show how the kings lived before and to try to find the original pieces of furniture to put them inside.
A few years ago, it's not very thick, it's very thin. They are gold leaf painted. It's like a liquid they use. A bus is parked just where I am. This is the parking place here. So we can by this gate, through the gate here, and that's the original castle. And you can see all the other parts which were added little by little. And of course, we have not seen the gardens because we came on that side, but you're going to see them from the windows. Really, that's
the example of what we call a French garden, not natural at all, just designed like a carpet. A little. And then you cannot see everything like just now. But through here you could see the perspective, all the rooms, and on the other way also that's the way the individual people arrive. We'll not go there, but there are other rooms like that with just paintings, but it's just to see. So see, this chapel is from the beginning of the 18th century. Among all the ceremonies which were organized here, there was the wedding of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, before to be king and queen. They were very young. This is a good example of the decoration of the time, also kind of Baroque. You can see this ceiling painted. There are three-dimensional paintings. You will see many others in the other rooms. And that's a good example of the royal chapels. There are others in we arrive at the god Mercury, the god of commerce, messenger of the other gods for the Romans. And we have on the walls two other portraits, the same persons than before. Louis XV on the right again, younger than just before. And here the king has the royal coat used just for the big ceremonies like the coronation and other things. It was made of the white thing, it's fur, ermine fur, and blue velvet. And the queen again on the other side, who is showing her crown to show that she's the queen. You have also a few pieces of furniture, like the little table, really typically Baroque for the style, made on the flat part, on the top, of a mosaic of marble. It's typical of the work done in Italy at the time. Different colors for each little square of marble. And the French thing is that clock, which is 300 years old. It was given directly by the man, the artist who made it, gave it to the King of France. And it still works. Normally it could work also with little automats, little statues which get out, but that's really very fragile and too old, so they stay at home, stay inside. Notice the tapestry also. The factory still exists in Paris. It's called Les Gobelins, the Gobelins. You could see them working. They have a museum also. They work the same way, but they do only modern patterns. They don't copy the old ones. Noble families used their rooms like that. You could receive your friends or people, important people, in your bedroom. You could stay sitting on the bed to talk to the other people. That was almost a public place. And before to move, you can see from here on the right a little door, which is not secret because we see it, but that was a private door, different from the other ones, because it leads to the private apartment, the one really reserved to the king or the family, private family. So here, after all the gods that we have seen on the paintings, we arrive at Apollo, the god of the arts, of music, for instance, and the sun. So that was also the emblem of Louis XIV. And you see here Apollo on his carriage with white horses and the lights all around. So that's really the center, the symbol of the king. On the ceiling again, in the corners, you have 4 women representing like the 4 parts of the world. That's how they imagined at the time. You have Europe on this side, America on this side, and on each side of that wall, at the beginning and the end, you have 2 similar rooms, almost, but they have 2 different names. This one is called the war sitting room because That's west. The end now is where are those vertical trees and the poplar trees. It is about 2 kilometers from here. But at the time it was going much further. The forest was part of the place. All the yes, there are hundreds of pools. This one is the biggest, of course. It's called the Grand Canal, Grand Canal, and it is 1 kilometer long itself. All that is artificial. They had to dig to do everything, and to get water, it was complicated too because there were some marshes around, but there was not enough water. So they used La Seine, the river Seine of Paris, which passes over here, but at 10 kilometers away from here, and even down a hill. So they built a huge machine, something extraordinary for the time. They made, I don't remember how many, at least 4 very big wheels, like for the water mills, you know? And these wheels were just used to take water with little boxes or something like that, cups, to take water that was sent in pipes, and by the pipes it was going along the miles like that until here, until the gardens. But the water was for the fountains and the pools to do something nice, but not to wash. You know, that's quite long also. At the time of Christ, the Romans, they were modern. They had sewers in their towns, they had central heating. In Italy, you would see that. And they had public baths. People were going to the bath every day almost, to take cold bath, bath of steam, etc. So that was really modern. And they used that even during the Middle Ages. Very often we imagine that the Middle bedroom. We have not enough time, we need another half day at least to see the king's apartment with his bedroom. They have 2 different apartments, but that looks about the same. 3 queens used this room, and the last was Marie Antoinette. The decoration was redone for her. See, that's new again, but it's exactly the decoration of her time, with the little flowers. You have a portrait of Marie Antoinette on the fireplace, the bust.
The nicest room in which
and you can see the balustrade, the separation between the bed and this part, because as I said before, the bedroom was a public room. When the king was going to bed, for instance, it was a ceremony. It could be 20 persons, very important people. They had the honor. You know, well, can you come again a little closer? You know that Marie Antoinette was beheaded at the end. The French didn't like her because maybe she was Austrian, so it was quite easy to say that everything was her fault because she was not French. It's true that she spent a little too much money. To give you an idea, this piece of furniture was her jewelry box. Also, when the Parisians came, you know, and stayed during the night, around 5, 6 in the morning, some of them decided to kill the Queen of France. So they came in the castle, they broke the doors, they killed some guards who tried to stop them in the stairways, but that made a lot of noise, unfortunately, so she woke up on time, and she escaped through those private doors leading to the other rooms of her apartment, and until the king's apartment. So there she could be protected by other guards. Just notice also before to follow, this nice sofa from the origin belonged to Marie Antoinette, and during the Revolution that was sold on auctions like many other things, and the last person who had this was the Duchess of Windsor. Wrote that she wanted to give back that to Versailles after her death, so that came back here. The garden there, and we'll pass on the other little bridge, the next little bridge, to find the bus. The bus will be parked on that street on the left. Let's try to regroup a little. So I'm sorry I didn't stop to explain anything outside because we had to line like that. But you have seen those huge scaffoldings who are always restoring something, cleaning also. Normally, all the official monuments of Paris or even France have to be cleaned and restored every 10 years at least. So Notre Dame, it's very, very often anyway. It is a very famous monument because it is the cathedral of Paris, but also because of the history, the art history. It is really one of the oldest in this city. The first stone was put in 1163. So it is 700 years old. Well, I don't know if somebody is going to talk, but this is also to remind us that this is not a museum, but a church. So during the week we can make the visit, on Sundays not, because there are services, and even every day, in the morning and at the end of the day, around 6 p.m, there are masses and services. During the day we can visit anyway. So this is a very famous monument because it's the beginning of the Gothic style. It's a good example of the early Gothic. It was probably started in France and then very fast developed in many other countries, England, Germany, all over Europe. But it was really started around here, the north of France, around Paris. And really here we see the evolution. Before the 11th century, the churches were much smaller. They had thick walls, narrow windows. The vaults also were just like tunnels, round like that, barrel vaults, and that was very dark inside. During the 12th century, when this was started, there were also the first schools or even universities created in all Europe and in Paris, La Sorbonne. It was started exactly at the same time. So we really have the impression that it went together. People wanted to understand more, everything, sciences, etc. And maybe even God. They thought about God and they wanted to have light, the light of understanding in the schools, but the light of God. And that's why they changed the kind of architecture. They tried to go higher and higher to reach something, the light, like that. And that's how the Gothic style was created. So of course it was very well studied. At the beginning some churches collapsed because that was the very beginnings only. And then we have a good example. The ceiling is not flat, it is not those tunnels as before, but a succession of vaults which look like umbrellas put side by side. Sometimes you have only 4 arches, here we have 6. It's divided in 6 little vaults. The center is the keystone which blocks the vault, and then the weight of this roof, which is very heavy, is divided. It follows the different vault, different arches, and then you have those huge pillars or the columns, which are the only supports to the weight of that. So thanks to that system, they could build very wide buildings. Here downstairs we have a lot of space. We can put something like 9,000 people, and upstairs they could leave the place for the windows. You know, the walls don't support the roof at all, only the columns, just the structure, but the walls are only shelters. They could be very fragile, and they are. When it's glass, it's very fragile, but the glass doesn't support the roof of the church at all. So here we have modern windows, those that you see from here. They were done after the World War II with the same old technique of stained glass, but they are new. The very old ones, you see them only when you approach of the choir. So that's what we're going to do now.
Coming this weekend, many tours.
So for the visit you can follow behind me and turn around the choir. Today it's closed, so we'll just have to come back and cross there. But this is a very nice place to see the windows. First, I just remind you what you see here. Most of the old Christian churches, like here, have the shape of the cross to symbolize Christ. And in general also, when it is possible to build, they are directed, they have the same direction. The choir here, where the priest stands, is to the east, oriented over the east, that's to say in the direction of the light. And the entrance is on the west, like here. Unfortunately, we couldn't see the statues outside because of the scaffoldings, but those which are here are the statues representing the last judgment, what happens after death. So it's something sad, dark, impressive. On the side of the sunset, the west, you have impressive statues. You look at that and then you go through the door, which can symbolize the doors of the death, like a passage, maybe just a door. And then in the church you walk in the direction of the light to the east, symbolizing the light of another life after the death, after the passage. So that's typical of all the churches. Of course, the light never stands on the east, of course, after it turns. But then we have another symbol. Here you have the two old and big rose windows. They have 13 meters of diameter, but they have not exactly the same colors. In front of you over there, it is the north. So the light never comes directly from there, and the colors used are quite cold too. You have a lot of blue, some green also, and violet. So that's really cold, and it's a symbol to show that Christ is not born yet. In fact, he is born, but he is in the arms of his mother in the center. Mary is presented the child like that. So all the people represented all around are the people of the Bible, the Old Testament. And by opposition, on the south here, there is still blue, but not too much, and there is red, and almost no green. And when the light comes from here around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's really very, very clear, and you see the difference with the other one. So it's here you have the New Testament after Christ. That's not typical in this church. You find that in many other places, of course. And it's really a chance also if this church was not damaged too much, because during the French Revolution a lot of churches were completely destroyed somewhere, some different regions of France, and this church was used for something else during 10 years. They even kept during 2 or 3 years animals, cows, or there were stables here. And then it was used as different things to keep books or things like that, like a store. For those mainly who were not at Versailles this morning, Napoleon I, Napoleon Bonaparte, the famous one, crowned himself in the church here, in the choir there. It was the 4th, if I remember well, 4th of December 1804. He took the crown from the hands of the Pope who was there for the coronation, and he crowned himself. That was here. When you look over there, you see the statue there, the white statue, which is one Pietà, because a lot of statues are called like this. There is a very famous statue by Michelangelo in Italy called La Pietà, the Pietà of Michelangelo, but there are many others. So this is a French, just a French statue from the 17th century. From the 17th century, it was tomorrow, open. There is in the morning during the mass, and then in the afternoon around 5 p.m. they have a concert from 5 hours. Every Sunday. They are made to support the church also, all around. You see all the roof and the steeple, the spire just in the middle, with the green statues, which are 3 on 4 sides. They represent the apostles, the 12 apostles of Christ. And there is one only who looks in the direction of the spire. It is probably one which has the portrait of the architects at the same time. It's one of the apostles. Nicolas II, the Tsar who was assassinated in 1917, who was just buried officially yesterday, I think, in Russia. So when Alexander III came in France, the bridge was dedicated to Russia. France and Russia were friends. There was political, economical alliance, mainly. So that's gold that you see on the statues. It's 18 carats gold. But that's very small if you compare with the roof on your left there at the end of it. It's going to be very nice from the Eiffel Tower too. There you would find some 12 kilos of gold, 18 carats gold. The whole place is called the Invalids. It was an hospital for soldiers originally.
You want to go to Europe?
Oh, so the people that were lining up at the other queue are probably underneath. Any more? The trains get full, they come and push them. At the rush hour.
Flash of light there. Sometimes we're Tell them we gave her a shot there, we gave her a shot.
I think the second level will be quite high enough. High enough.
Now we're doing some serious
The painters, Picasso, Renoir and many others were 100 years ago, and there are still many painters like the ones that we saw by Notre Dame, but there are many others there. The Louvre, you see a lot of green, the museum, the Louvre. Radio France. Well, not the only place, but really a concentration of skyscrapers and modern things. It's called La Défense, the Defense, and it's a little out of Paris. See, there is a big wood here, the woods of Boulogne, and that's just away of Paris, at the limit.
Do the people go and use the woods and parks?
Doesn't matter.
So that's like me.
We need this one again.
Best is to stay together as well, a small group. So maybe I prefer to show you first the village church. It is probably the oldest in Paris. This facade was redone later on, but inside two are columns which are from the time of the Romans. Roman rune, and this is from the Middle Ages, but really very, very old church. 100 years ago, without anything for the tourism, just people, the rest still It's just to have a look over the last vineyard. There is a vineyard here.
We'll stay.
We don't go far, just... It's it.
Show yourself.
Here on your left.
Oh yeah, what a beauty. Oh,
Thank
look at
you,
that.
Bob.
Oh, Bob, what a beauty.
There you are.
Yeah.
Good, now that's enough, put it away.
I'll see another one. A different colour.
I've done my good deed.
Yes, Bob.
I can get in trouble.
So it's very... You stay over there, I'll take shots. Huh? You want to go there? You fix it all up. Today is the 23rd of July 1998. It's a Thursday. It's very hot, it's about 30 degrees. It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We are in Bistrica on a cemetery above Bistrica. Down here is our what do you call it? Grave, the family grave, Virginas. And if you go almost straight up, behind the church steeple, the other church steeple, the second church steeple, and a bit to the left, there's a big stack of big Christmas trees, fir trees. They are in our backyard, they are in our garden. Just immediately in front of that is a big house with a red roof that used to be ours, we sold it. And immediately under that, but you can just distinguish it, it's too difficult to explain, just between the two tall green trees, three green trees, as you can see just a little bit of a grey roof. That's our house. You move out further up, you see a big patch of big dark green trees. That was all completely empty when I was a little kid. That belongs to our family, and my father started planting trees there with other people, and I was only 6 years old or 7 years old when I was actually planting those fir trees. Now those trees are probably 20 or more meters high. It is certainly reduced the strength of the buria, as we have it called here, the very strong wind, up to 120 kilometers an hour in winter. And all around after that, other people started planting trees, which also cuts down the influence of the buria. To the left, down below here, this quite big building, that's the Senior Citizen Center that they built some 5-6 years ago, and it's a very well run place. Janko Slens, my friend's wife, is actually the administrator there, and it's a very nice building overlooking the whole valley, and people are very well off there, looked after very well. What else is to be said? This pizza has not changed very much over the years. A few houses here and there. Down to the south, that's Croatia now. Over there is Italy. About 40 kilometers that way is Italy, 30 kilometers down there is Croatia. This is the Church of St. Peter's, which is our main church of the district. The other church that we saw before is only for the Bistrica proper, whereas this one is the whole for the district. And of course we all finish up here, where anybody who lives here and dies here finishes up spending the rest of his time in this place. It's here of people who used to be very rich once, who are no longer living in the area. That was sort of following a bit like the Italian style of mausoleums. People don't spend, as a general rule, here as much as the Italian death houses and their cemeteries. But still, there's quite a bit of money spent for remembering their loved ones who've gone. What else to be said? Nothing for the time being. That's all, folks.
Заливно утро, видишь, американские газелива.
Ma kaj, na ovni strani je pa... Kaj se delaš važnega, Tomaš?
Máme garno zdaj.
Da si me?
We want to see you jumping on the river. It will be good.
It's gonna be quite unique if you jump in the water. Or at least if you poop.
We are still not refreshed. It'll be nice after shower.
Tony?
What the practice proposes is the Tartini music. Composer and also
skok dol do čisto morja.
Redo?
1, 2.
Cheers.
There's someone rowing. You people very cute. Very cute.
Yeah. As I remember.
See how they, Alison, see how they protect the swimmers here. They put the shark fence around it.
There are huge sharks.
It's a nice diving board.
No, the most ride is the Plice Hotel.
Nie, da jest pokremšnite, to malo se je.
Ja, bomo
Lahko tam lahko zunaj sedim. For a few hours, this is fun.
Ima približno 180, ampak ne 20, tam na cesto.
It looks like a very comfortable
We
one.
might force ourselves on that tour, I think.
Very comfortable
I
one.
think we should. No to bo dobro, kapital zunaj je kar poživite.
Sigurno.
Goodyear Company.
Da bo lastnik prodal Goodyearju. Okay. Ja, on je bil...
So, if I mention it. To je postala Titova izdelka, ne?
Po drugi vojni pa Tito to prevzel.
A so ga porušili? Ne, več ne mi pravijo.
Z avto, skočilo bi se.
Ne, z avtom sem v okrog šel.
Ja, zdaj pa sem se privat. Siguren ne.
Siguren. Imajo tukaj vrt...
Prva velika. Tu so povečali, ja. Sila, ki je zona veja, ne? Ja.
Ja, sem nastavljen. Kako pa imenujete te čovce? Pletne, to so pletne.
Ja.
Aha.
Das ist gescheit.
Außerfleisch.
Še mi ženske pejte, no? Petit pet. Huh? What?
It's recording. People have...
Neanche tovaglia, niente, tutto così semplice. Lo vedi come lo come cosa? Magari sì. Io darei a voi, ma non aspetta per niente. Perché c'è fuori di questi. Andrei.
Checking out the one film of the...
Ah, ma film così.
All right.
All our gardens, all of it, all the way down where this house is.
Tell me when you're gonna do.
You gotta watch the holes, eh?
No, this is still ours. And of course the fellow there up the top there, he's got a disco. He wants to buy it. But because he was nasty to Mum doesn't want to sell.
What's in here? What sort of fruit or trees?
There was all kinds of trees in the house. Now I don't know what is left. Probably all gone bad. This is the entrance. This was a roadway once. When we sold it to him, he just closed off the road.
Okay.
There's some trees still there. The fence is gone. This is what we used to have. We used to have condos. Cemeteries where asparagus, big asparagus, big, all kinds of fruits. But the garden went all the way down, continuously down with the houses.
So you have to show me that.
There's the old people's home.
Yep, the church.
The cemetery. See, you can't see our house now because there's other houses built in between. This is what I was saying. See where we were at the cemetery yesterday?
Yeah.
Up the top there?
Yeah.
Ali?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I was trying to find our house. Well, you can't see it anymore now because all the other houses are built in between.
And this is our land as well, in front of us.
And Maria looks after it and grows it and gives back Mummy, gives Mum enough fruit. partisans were attacking, coming over the mountains there. Now it's a funny thing, you'd think, how can they come up there? In 1945 there was not a single tree there. It was completely blank. And they were coming over the Alps, down here, attacking the Germans were shooting up and down. And the big...
Tony, cena se čas. Ti moraš se zdaj potisniti, ne? Pa bi bilo prav, da greste nazaj, kjer komor so naše trgovine, da jim pokažeš še tisto, kar je tudi jaz gospodar. Še tisto jim pokažeš. So 4 trgovine, to morate tisniti v Rični.
They were attacking. All of the family were in that little room, which is half under the road. So we put a couple of bags of sand in front. And when this hit, when this hit, it was a big, yeah.
Zaman, tukaj govorim, zdaj no, pusti naprej.
Povedi, Toni, povedi, je tukaj ena vida.